Hello and welcome to a Taylor's Tales podcast. This is Chris's Corner. I'm your host, Chris Taylor, and welcome back to a brand new episode. This week, it's Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you all. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas day. As you can see, this year I've pulled out all the stops, as I have dressed up as Santa. For those just listening, I am dressed in a full Santa suit, all bells, whistles and buckles, beards and hats included within this podcast. And this is as long as you're going to get with the beard on. Oh, there we go. That's better. That's better sound. That's better sound quality right there. Fluff all over me as well. My goodness. I hope you appreciate, those watching via YouTube, the effort I've put in for the visual effect of the Santa Claus costume, because it's bloody hot. I can tell you that right now. So let's get rid of it. Oh my goodness. Let's get rid of that. Oh, feels like... Now I know how women feel after taking makeup off on a night out. My goodness. Oh, there we go. Oh, get the face cleaner out in a minute. But yes, Merry Christmas to you. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas day. I know I'm repeating myself already. It's a happy Boxing Day to you all as well. I hope you spent some lovely time with your family. You ate some really good food and you watched some cringy Christmas films. This podcast is not going to be a long one. It's just a real family-orientated, Christmas-revolving podcast that, for me personally, Christmas holds a special place in my heart. As you can see here, I put a lot of effort into Christmas. I dressed up as Santa and surprised my whole family on Christmas morning, and it really brought the energy for the Christmas vibe. I feel that as you get older, Christmas turns into more of an obligation rather than something that is special as it was when you were a kid and you're excited for Santa Claus, and you have to bring that energy to be able to get the most out of it. If you're going to make it a task and a problem, it's going to be a task and it's going to be a problem. But if you make it into a fun event and you enjoy it and you get absolutely exhausted and you sleep through, you get to the evening and and you're absolutely shattered like I was, then you know you've done something right and that you had a good time. And Christmas for me has evolved into a time where I spend time with my family, and even though we've been in lockdowns and we've been in a COVID pandemic where we have been shut in at home for a lot of it, it's still important to reconnect. It's still important to celebrate that time and to enjoy yourselves and to appreciate one another and to have gratitude for where you are. And I also want to emphasize as well, Christmas isn't a Christian holiday to me. Ironically, it began as a pagan holiday, but I'm not going to get into that. The point is, Christmas for me is for everybody. Christmas is about bringing people together. It's not about the religious beliefs behind it, because I cut those off. For me, it's about have the kids, for instance, in the world having fantastic Christmas morning and believing in a being and a figure that resembles all good in this world. It's about bringing family together. It's about cooking a good meal for you all to enjoy. It's about giving and receiving in this scenario. I think for me, the greater joy nowadays is actually providing the presents for my family than it is to receive them. And that's only as you get older that becomes more of a thing. And I would also say the fifth thing is actually just enjoying the decorations, enjoying the Christmas music, the environment, the time of year. Because it's been a very tough period for a lot of us in the United Kingdom and for Europe. As Omicron has rised and more rules are in place, it does feel like we can all get very depressed. And I think it's more important than ever that we appreciate the time we can spend with our family when there could be the potential on the rise of not being able to see them for a great while. For me personally, I'm really hoping that there aren't put any rules in place, as on the 28th, myself and all of my family on my mum's side will be getting together for the first time in what it feels like 2 years. And I'm hoping we can still do that. And I hope that these things come to pass, because that is the true being for Christmas for me. Anyway, enough preaching and enough sharing of Christmas. I thought I'd make this podcast about some of my favourite things around Christmas and some of those things that everyone can enjoy and truly, it really gets into that Christmas spirit, even if it is Boxing Day and the day after Christmas. I feel the 12 days of Christmas don't ruin it for you all. I think it continues afterwards to have that little extra vibe before. I hope you watched, for Christmas movies, my favourite top 5 are Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Muppets Christmas Carol, The Grinch, and then I'm going to go with Home Alone as well, those top 5. And some people would argue that Lethal Weapon and Die Hard aren't Christmas movies. I would say that both of those have opening sequences with Christmas songs in them. So, yeah, get that around your neck and hang it. By the way, I haven't said this. I've actually recorded this podcast twice. The first time I didn't realise, and I'm going to do this now just to make sure, is that I wasn't in focus the entire time recording. So for those audio listeners, you won't really care. But for those who watch the video, I recorded the entire podcast without realising that the camera was out of focus. And I was just sat here in a blurry mess. So this has come to me having to do this again after pre-recording and then having to re-record it again, which is not always a fun scenario for me to do. It's always the way. Nonetheless, I love recording and I love putting the effort into the podcast, and I would rather re-record it and get the best out of it, the best quality, than have a half-assed video without any footage. So just thought I'd put it out there. Christmas movies, like I said, top 5 have got to be those. And then Christmas music, there's so many good Christmas music. A lot of people will be bah humbug, I don't want to hear Christmas music and I don't want to hear it. And for me, as soon as it hits December the 1st, I'm playing Wham, or as I say from Deadpool, Wham! I'm playing the Band-Aid, I'm playing Elton John, I'm playing all of the classics for Christmas, like Mud, and I'm playing Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. For me personally, these get me in the spirit of Christmas and really help me dive into that period of time. And also, I put on some Christmas and lo-fi when I'm doing work because it relaxes me and it also makes me feel in that Christmas spirit. There's a time to be depressed and upset, and there's times to be happy. I believe December is this period of time where you can bring the joy, and you have so many assets and so many resources during this Christmas time of year to have that Christmas spirit and to really enjoy that period of time. And it's down to you to be able to bring that Christmas spirit and to bring that vibe to it, because otherwise, you are bringing the depressed vibes rather than the positive ones. And here on the Taylor's Tales podcast, we are all about the positive vibes. There are no negative vibes here. There is only positivity, and we're going to find the positives in the negatives. And as I've described in previous podcasts before, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I think throughout the Christmas period, you have more of an opportunity to be happy, because if you can see family, if you can see friends, if you can enjoy the period that you're in, then you will, I promise you, feel a lot better than you did back in November. So there's that. Christmas music, Christmas films. One of the best things about Christmas Day for me personally is that my parents make a homemade Christmas dinner. So everything's homemade, everything's prepared by them. It takes them 2 or 3 days to put it all together. Even the puddings are the best. My mum made this year a honeycomb cheesecake from scratch, a Christmas pudding, like all of these things with cream on the side, delicious homemade mince pies, fantastic every time. So really appreciate that. It takes my dad and my mum hours to do, and they often get into arguments because they're trying to control the kitchen, and that's always fun to see. Because one of them's like, no, do it my way. But at the end of the day, they are just trying to do the best possible meal, because it's an important, because it brings us all together, and we always have the turkey, the amazing Yorkshire puds, the potatoes, the veg, the amazing gravy with the wine in it to give it extra flavour, to give it that c'est magnifique, it really give it that. And for me, the homemade aspect of the Christmas dinner makes it that much better. There is nothing better than a homemade Christmas meal. You can tell me you can go to any sort of restaurant. I would much rather have it made by my family than any restaurant out there in the world. You can provide any 5-star restaurant. I promise you now, the majority of time when I do go to a restaurant, if I am with my family, the majority of time we won't order pudding because we can just go home and have something that's normally 10 times better. And that's not me bragging. That's just how it's been since I was like a little kid. So that's life. So if you're ever looking out for good meals, you have to come to the Taylor's Tales podcast home at some point. Anyway, moving on. So as I said, Christmas music, Christmas films, Christmas dinner, really paying in there. I always feel a full stomach by the end of the day, putting me into a heavy sleep and slumber. But nonetheless, I did get a solid pump yesterday after working out. After having the meal, I went and did a chest, back, and biceps and abs workout, which seriously, I felt very strong after that meal yesterday. I thought I was going to throw up because I'd eaten too much food, but no, I felt really good in the gym, and I was really pressing the weight in there. Maybe it's the Don Broco music playing in the background, giving that extra pump, but who knows? Seriously, good vibes coming from that food. Obviously there must have been some salt and some fats in there that were giving me the extra energy, but who knows. So as well as that, there's also the fact that there's the presents, but I can push those aside. Presents are lovely, giving and receiving and that side of things, but for me personally, I find that for me, it's more of a giving thing. For instance, I got my sister an array of little gifts. We played a little game that she got. I think it was called Dobble, where you have a deck of cards. Everyone gets a set of cards each, like one each, and then a card is placed in the middle. And on that card, there are images, and you have to match the image on the card to an image on your card. And if you find an image, you have to shout the image and tap the card, and then that card becomes yours. And the aim of the game is to get the most cards, and by the end of once you've run out in the deck, it's whoever's got the most cards. It's as simple as that. I love a good simple game. I'm not really a board games person, so when it comes down to a simple, effective card game, I'm all for it, and it can really get the competitive edge within you. But sadly, what I have realised is my hand-eye coordination is not great. So I will not recognise the image, and my brain won't be able to compute it in time. So I'm terrible at the game. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed the concept. So yes. So gifts like that really get you in the mood, and like this, little things like dressing up for Santa for Christmas is always fun and appreciated by the family. So yep, gifts, Christmas dinner, music, films, decorations. I love the fact that, for instance, outside the house at the moment, there's Christmas lights that make the house look like a little Santa's grotto. Really nice effect because they've got a very nice yellow glow to them, and that really gets me in the mood. And then you've also got the real Christmas tree in the living room, which has that beautiful fir tree smell to it and gets you really in the Christmas mood. It's got beautiful decorations on it, but the smell alone makes you feel very Christmassy. And obviously the warm, crackling fire as well. Open fire. We do have a wood-burning stove in the corner here, but that doesn't get used very often. It's more of the living room vibe going on with the reds and the greens and the cozy dark windows when it comes down to that beautiful Christmas evening. So as the days get darker and as they grow shorter, we also have to appreciate the energy that Christmas provides us and the joy that we have. Yes, you'll have grandma at the table rattling on, and yes, you'll have to get together with your family and all these things, but enjoy it while you can, because if anything's COVID has taught us is that you may not be able to see them very often, depending on how the world works. And if we have to appreciate anything, it is the time we have together. Although I have to emphasize is that after I've spent however many hours with people, I'm absolutely exhausted, so I have to have some alone time afterwards because I'm like, oh, that's too much, I'm done now. And I think that's a COVID thing where you've spent so much time on your own that you're just kind of like, people are exhausting. But I will slowly get myself back into that extroverted lifestyle of being around people more often. and trying to get that energy back. But that's what Christmas is all about, and being in that energy and enjoying it. So I'm hoping that you, the listener, have had a very Merry Christmas, and I wish you an Happy New Year. And so you've enjoyed the Christmas music, you've enjoyed the Christmas films, the Christmas dinner, the presents, and the decorations. And I hope you found my ridiculous Santa suit, for those watching, for those listening, my full red and white Santa suit with white gloves, a black and gold belt, some glasses, a very, very itchy beard, and a fantastic red hat. So, as always, this has been a Taylor's Tales podcast. This has been Chris's Corner. I'm your host, Chris Taylor, and as always, I hope to see you this time next week. Merry Christmas.